Welcome back to Snetterton for race 2 of the Radical SR1 Cup, where the championship is still up for grabs. James Taylor, the man who now has 219 points. Oliver Barker managed to pull a few points back in race number 1. He now sits on 188, and Kai Wheatley, after not the best of race earlier on, he now sits on 158 points, but still has a shot of taking the championship. The grid is being formed then, and we can see that Oliver Barker will be starting this race from pole position once again. James Taylor, championship leader, alongside in car number 2, and then Kai Wheatley and Rob Ellis, hopefully, will get away this time on row number 2, with Richard Baxter and James Barwell rounding out row number 3. 5-second board has been held aloft. Red lights come on, which means the race is very shortly to get underway, which it now does. 20 minutes of action ahead of us. Again, a few slow from the back, one not quite getting away, and not the best of starts from our pole man, Oliver Barker, who is now going to be down to 4th place by the time they reach Richie's corner. And around the outside go a few cars, and off onto the grass as well goes one of those cars, which is probably in the region of around about Andy Chittenden, I'd say. I think he's dropped himself outside the front few rows, so he now finds himself pretty much towards the back, and with a lot of work to do. Someone wide there as well, that's Peter Devlin in car number 5. He's got a few places to try and make up as well, but it is James Taylor that leads the way. But let's start there from number 7, Kai Wheatley. There in 4th place we can see number 12, Rob Ellis, so already up into 3rd place with 1 place gained is Oliver Barker in car number 22. So that is the order as they work their way down towards Agostini. Near enough three abreast further back there. We've got Richard Baxter in there. We've got James Barwell as well in car number 15. All line astern as they turn away on towards the left-hander at Hamilton for the first time of asking. What can the guys behind do? Have they got any chance of catching James Taylor? This is bad news, of course, for Oliver Barker, because as we said, he needs to win all 3 races this weekend to have any chance of taking the championship. On towards the back straight they go for the first time. There we can see Jack Baber, the man who finished fairly well in the first race, but at the minute he finds himself down in around about what's going to be 8th place by the looks of it, as the top 3 head their way through. There goes number 12, Rob Ellis, who it's nice to see within this race, inside the top 4, 4th place. Then comes number 6 behind that in 5th, Spencer Bourne, under attack from a few other people in there as well. Number 8, you can see Richard Baxter going through down towards the bomb hole for the first time. So there goes the leader, number 2, James Taylor, but it's the fight for 2nd place we need to be focusing on now, because Kai Wheatley is already under attack from number 22. So it just shows that he likes Snetterton very, very well indeed, as Oliver Barker. He gets a great run through Murray's. He's going to pull alongside as they work their way up towards the completion of lap number 1, but can he go through on the outside run at Richie's? He'll give it a good go as they work their way through. There goes Rob Ellis in 4th place. Quite under attack at the minute from number 6, Spencer Bourne there, but number 8 is getting closer, Richard Baxter, as they turn on towards the Wilson hairpin. Has the number 22 machine of Oliver Barker managed to get through? Yes, he has. Look at that. On the outside of Richie's, he managed to keep his speed up and now moves into 2nd place ahead of Kai Wheatley in the non-white car in this field, actually. The only probably non-white car we see, the orange and grey livery, as he works his way through Palmer. The gap between the top 2 at the end of that first lap was just over a second, of course, but that was Kai Wheatley who was in 2nd. But already Oliver Barker charging down. James Taylor in car number 2 as they negotiate Agostini, work their way on towards Hamilton. And you can already see there, slightly later on the brakes as well, is Oliver Barker in 2nd place. So he's a little bit braver through the corners, and if he can get close enough onto the back straight, he may well have a chance of overtaking off the straight down towards Brundle and Nelson, which is a prime overtaking spot here at Snetterton. A little bit of dust being kicked up in the background, which was from one of these cars as they work their way through Williams. There is Andy Chittenden, the man who made that mistake at the first corner on the first lap, so he is on a recovery drive. But there goes our leader through in towards Brundle and Nelson. James Taylor, Oliver Barker and Kai Wheatley. And that fight for 4th place just going through, which very shortly will be joined by this man, I reckon, Richard Baxter in car number 8. Finds himself down in 6th place, being chased and hassled by James Barwell in car number 15. So through the bomb hole they go as the top 2 emerge once more. And already, look at that, Kai Wheatley has dropped right off the back of the top 2. Maybe falling into the clutches now of number 12, which is Rob Ellis, who in turn is under pressure now from the number 6 machine of Spencer Bourne. So it's getting very compact in the middle of the pack here, and getting very close towards the front of the field as well, because the gap is down to 0.8 of a second. which means that Oliver Barker is carving into the battle here. Look at this one, number 6 trying to get up the inside, Spencer Bourne of the man just ahead of him, which is Rob Ellis. So Rob Ellis now feeling the pressure from behind. Let's see if he's managed to get the job done. There goes Kyle Wheatley in third. Not yet. Again, slightly wide there from Spencer Bourne. Let's see if he's managed to do anything else down towards Palmer. Nope, again, slightly wide there. Not really holding the apex of the corner, which means Richard Baxter will have a little bit of a go possibly down towards Agostini. Gets a good run, picks up the toe, works his way towards the inside line just to be a little bit of a threat here. And he's going to go for it, is he? The door is left open by Spencer Bourne, so Richard Baxter needs no second invitation. Through he goes for now, but again, the power on the outside line means that Spencer Bourne will keep himself ahead as they turn their way through Hamilton. And Richard Baxter will try again, probably not at Oggies because he just lost a little bit of ground through there, but definitely on towards the back straight. The long straight here at Snetterton gives you the chance to try and get some moves done. So there is our leader then, now with, right on his tail, Oliver Barker. So is this going to be the opportunity for our second place man, the man who needs to win every race here at Snetterton to work his way through into the lead? Well, he's now within touching distance here, so if he can get a good run through these last couple of corners, through Coram, in towards Murray's, and then potentially line up another move in towards Ritchie's, where he got past, of course, the number 7 car of Kyle Wheatley. Looks like he may be able to get it done here. Let's have a look then as they work their way on towards the straight. Both of them working nicely through Murray's. And the toe will now be beneficial to Oliver Barker. But which way does James Taylor go? Does he defend? Beautiful backdrop there from the rainbow at Snetterton. And now Oliver Barker still sits second. He gets a much better line though. He gets very tight towards the apex. Can he dive for a move at the Wilson hairpin? Yes, he can. Through he goes then. The man who sits second within the championship. The place that he needs to be in. Oliver Barker now moves himself ahead of James Taylor and straight away has already extended that gap by a good 2 or 3 car lengths here. So let's see if he can work his way a little bit further up the road. And again, bear in mind you get a point for fastest lap. So with clear track now ahead of Oliver Barker, let's see if he can get his head down and get that extra point, which will be so beneficial towards the end of the races here this weekend, the final rounds of the 2016 season. And again, these two are well and truly up the road ahead of Kyle Wheatley, who still sits there in third place in car number 7. There he goes through the shop. And now we've got another great battle starting to emerge as well. This is Spencer Bourne in car number 6, who heads at number 8, Richard Baxter, who has been fairly quick. He's been looking at most of the occasions to try and get through. But at the minute, Spencer Bourne just putting up a great defence to keep himself ahead in the fight. So through again, Williams they go on towards the back straight. I wouldn't say that Richard Baxter is close enough there to get a move done at Brundle and Nelson, but we might be surprised to see if he can make a really big lunge at the end of the straight. Well, he's looking. You can see behind, in fact, the battle that we can focus on as well there, which is between number 15, the car which is of James Barwell, just being passed there, in fact, by Andy Chittenden, who is still on his recovery drive through the field. And to be fair to him, he may get himself inside the top 5 before too much longer, because he's now got these 3 or 4 cars just up the road. So if he can get his head down as well, put away from James Barwell, he's got a real potential to get himself a little bit higher within this race as they turn their way in towards Murray's once more. Although James Barwell is not letting him get away, and coming into the mix now is a spinning number 11, which is Jack Barber, who goes round. He gets himself back in the right direction. He looks down at the steering wheel. He's quite unhappy with himself as well, which I think he should be after that slight mistake through Murray's, as he was right with those 2 cars ahead. But now it's going to be a long, long way adrift as they work their way across the line once more. Still focused on our third place man, which is Kyle Wheatley, and here comes another great battle between Rob Ellis and the number 6 machine of Spencer Bourne. He near enough pushed Rob through the corner there, and in doing so he's going to be under attack from Richard Baxter as they work their way down towards Palmer. Richard is on the inside line. Does he get through? Nope. He's going to be the one who gets undone, but then running wide and kicking up the dust and picking up the dirt on the tyres is Spencer Bourne. So in the end he does lose the place, and he may lose 2 here, because here comes Andy Chittenden down the inside line, and that is easy pickings for Andy, just to swoop through, get the place away. And now he moves himself through the order and will be in what's going to be 7th place by the looks of it. Oh, and what a shame there, number 11, Jack Barber, again making another mistake, not on the same lap, but 2 corners later up at the Wilson hairpin. So Jack is, after a great race 1, he's now having a very disappointing race number 2, but he's going to still remain in the race, which is the all-important thing. There is our fight for 4th place then between Rob Ellis and the ever quicker Richard Baxter. He gets a great run through Williams on towards the back straight once more. Can he look at Brundle and Nelson? And through the shot there goes our second place man, James Taylor. Now around about 2 seconds back from Oliver Barker in the lead. Rob Ellis not too sure where to go there. He kind of fought for the middle of the road, which works out well as he works his way now through Brundle and Nelson. Andy Chittenden, I still think, is the man to watch out for here to gain a few more places before this race is done. He's very, very quick at the minute. He's managed to pull away from those few cars behind. Spencer Bourne and also James Barwell. As they come down towards Murray's again, this fight for 4th position. Rob Ellis, followed by Richard Baxter, Andy Chittenden and Spencer Bourne. All line astern, which is what we want to see in radical racing, because these cars are all identical pretty much. It's all down to the driver's ability to negotiate the 300 circuit. Richard Baxter thinks about moving towards Richie's corner, and he may just happen on the exit, because running slightly wide there was the number 6 machine. Sorry, the number 12 machine there of Rob Ellis, who runs wide. The number 6 machine behind made the place though. That is Spencer Bourne going through. So he now is the next man to try and attack the 2 ahead. They're still just a little bit distant from the Kai Wheatley machine, who still sits there in 3rd place. A couple of seconds down the road by the looks of it, but then a long train now starting to merge as one. There's still Rob Ellis at the head of it, followed by the likes of Richard Baxter. You've got Andy Chittenden in there as well, and you can also see just on the back of a few of these radicals the yellow box with the black cross, which just indicates that these are novice racers taking part in their first 6 races on a track. And this is the great thing about radical, a great stepping stone nowadays for the SR1 Cup to get new racers working their way through the ladder, through the Challenge Championship, and of course the European Masters as well, which are very, very good championships. As we can now see a place maybe changing here, because Rob Ellis was a little bit slow onto the back straight, which means that Richard Baxter was looking. Here comes into the mix as well Spencer Bourne, who near enough makes contact with the back of Richard through Nelson corner. Andy Chittenden is still there as well, trying to get his way through, but he's kind of hit a brick wall now, hasn't he? He's kind of got up to where he wants to be, but he hasn't really gone any further. If there is a mistake to happen, Andy Chittenden will be the first man to try and get his way through, just like he did in the earlier race. As also with him now is number 15, James Barwell. So with all the bunching up that's happened, it does mean that James Barwell is another factor within this race as they work their way on towards the centre straight. Across the line they go, 5 as 1 in this long, long train, which turns its way up towards the first corner at Ritchie's. James Barwell turns his way through in the green and white machine. There is Kai Wheatley in 3rd place. Now finds himself just over a second up the road. Oh, and a mistake there from number 6, Spencer Bourne. He was trying to get past Richard Baxter. In doing so, he's run wide, and now he's going to be under pressure and maybe passed by Andy Chittenden as they work their way in towards Palmer. Can Andy go round the outside? Yes, he can. Look at that. Up now into what's going to be 6th position. Spencer Bourne drops himself down to 7th, and James Barwell, unluckily, not quite close enough to make a move there, so he still finds himself down in what's going to be 8th position. He did look there briefly to get past Spencer Bourne, but the door was shut right into his face through Agostini. So he has to sit and wait for another opportunity, as there is Rob Ellis. A great job Robbie's doing here. To be fair, he's done a defensive drive from the start of the race. He's there in 4th place, still with this long line behind, which involves number 8, Richard Baxter. You can just see there in the background, number 48, Andy Chittenden, and number 6 is James Bourne as well, who, after that slight mistake, he's going to try and get back past Andy Chittenden as they work their way on towards Bentley Straight for another time of asking. I don't think any of these have got the chance to catch Kai Wheatley because, as I said, the number 12 car of Rob Ellis is just keeping everyone at bay for now. But if one can get through, then possibly the floodgates will be opened for everyone else to try and negotiate their way through as well. But Richard Baxter, probably a little bit frustrated at the minute, sitting there in 5th place. He's now, of course, got to do 2 jobs at once here, defend and attack at the same time. He's pretty much on the defence for now because Andy Chittenden has got a lot closer. There is James Bourne again, trying to get onto the rear of the wing. As through now goes our 2nd place man. There's James Taylor, who sits what's going to be around about 11 seconds adrift of the leader. So again, Oliver Barker has managed to open up a substantial margin over the rest of the field, which is good news for him, which means if he stays where he is, we'll gain a massive 40 points to his championship chase to try and catch up and pass James Taylor before the end of the weekend. There is Rob Ellis still there in 4th position. On his tail, Richard Baxter in car number 8. And it looks like they've just fallen back now from our 3rd place man, Kai Wheatley, in car number 7. That orange and silver machine that works its way down towards Agostini. You've got Andy Chittenden still just a watching brief at the minute, just waiting to see if there's another mistake which evolved in race number 1. If there is, of course, he'll be the first man to try and leap through and get himself up inside the top 5. And of course, still on that tail is the number 6 machine of Spencer Bourne. And also in there as well, number 15 is the car of James Barwell. So down through Oggies they go once again, all in a long line at the minute. Let's see if Richard Baxter can get a good run onto the Bentley straight here. That's the prime position to try and be in, but of course you need to make Williams work to have a chance of trying a move down at Brundle first off, the old S's, and then of course Nelson. But in fact, Andy Chittenden's got the better run. He's going to try and go for the inside line of Richard Baxter. They're going to be side by side, hopefully with no contact as they turn their way through. Let's see how that re-emerges. It's still going to be Baxter ahead of Chittenden, but a great chance there for Chittenden to try and get himself up on the last few laps, which we are now of course onto the last lap. So Oliver Barker again with this 18-second lead onto the last lap. He's looking comfortable. If he can just keep the 4 wheels on the tarmac, he should bring it to the checker flag as our race winner for the 2nd time this weekend. There is Spencer Bourne still trying to get himself past Andy Chittenden as they now encroach on the last lap, but they've just strung themselves out as they head their way up in towards Ritchie's corner. Kai Wheatley may have been caught as well towards the end of this race. The gap is down to just over a second. So let's see if Rob Ellis now, who's just shaken off the attentions of Richard Baxter, can he do anything about Kai Wheatley and get himself onto the podium in this 2nd race of the weekend. So the fight for 3rd on backwards turns its way down towards Palmer. And the leaders, I'm sure, already halfway round this last lap now, or the leader on his own, of course, Oliver Barker. Another sterling job. And just as I said, Rob Ellis was looking to attack. Here comes Andy Chittenden for an attack as well. Richard Baxter is in there as well, trying to get his way through. So I don't think this one is quite over yet. 3 cars all as one. It's not going to be for a podium place unless anything happens to Kai Wheatley, but it could change the order before we see the checker flag as the 4th, 5th and 6th place guys turn through Oggies. Kai Wheatley just up the road in 3rd place still. And let's see what Richard can do. He gets a very nice tight line through the corner, on towards the back straight for the last time. Can he attack down towards Brundle and Nelson? That's going to be the place where we need to be looking. But for the meantime, Oliver Barker on his way down to the final corner for the 2nd race here at Snetterton, and it's going to be 2 out of 2. As we said, he needs to win all races. He's done, again, the best part he possibly can of winning race number 2 here at Snetterton. Across the line he goes. Oliver Barker takes the checker flag. And we're going to have to wait quite a while between now and 2nd place, which is going to be James Taylor in car number 2. He's the man who should scrape 2nd place. He'll go through to take the checker flag. As meantime, the fight for 4th place continues. There's a fight for 6th as well between Andy Chittenden. As across the line goes our 2nd place man, James Taylor, in car number 2. Again, exactly the same margin behind as the first race, 23 seconds there. And up towards the line comes the great train for 3rd place, headed by Kai Wheatley in car number 7. Rob Ellis did manage to close the gap towards the end there in car number 12. And then behind that, of course, we see the likes of the rest of the field. But it is Oliver Barker who wins race 2 by, again, 23 seconds. 2nd goes to James Taylor. It was 3rd place for number 7, Kai Wheatley, with Rob Ellis in 4th. Richard Baxter 5th, ahead of Andy Chittenden, Spencer Bourne and James Barwell to round out that long train. And then we've got Jack Barber and Paul Pearce rounding out the top 10 in the 2nd Radical SR1 Cup race here this weekend. But there are our top 3. Kai Wheatley on the right, James Taylor on the left again, but it is a double victory so far for Oliver Barker, who gets the champagne, and I'm sure they'll spray that into light very shortly as they'll all pose for the cameras, and they'll all have very wide smiles on their faces, and of course they'll look forward to what should be another exciting race to come here at Snetterton to round out the season, with still the championship up for grabs. Oliver Barker needs another win. James Taylor just needs to keep there to see if he can take the championship this year. But the champagne does spray, and it does mean 3 happy drivers will get soaked in that sticky stuff, but they'll be looking forward to their 3rd and final race of the year. And you can see that 3rd and final race here on Radical TV on the Radical website.